feel like society today, especially millennials, we're addicted to feeling sensitive and offended. Like literally people's nipples get hard when they're freaking offended by something.
With the election upon us, millions of Americans are gearing up to cast their vote for the next president of the United States. While some people will be voting independent, we wanted to hear from Trump voters and Biden voters about why they are voting for their candidate. In Spectrum, we bring everyday people together for authentic discussions that represent what's happening now. These discussions should not be anyone's sole source to forming opinions on important issues. Please do your own research, seek out experts, push yourself outside your bubble, and have empathy. Thanks for watching.
Hello, my name's Rachel. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I've been a conservative my whole life, but my views have definitely evolved, and I'm happy to be here.
Hi, I'm Casey. I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I actually work in politics and have watched very closely kind of the Republican Party turn from Republicanism to kind of Trump Republicanism, and I'm excited to talk about that.
Hi, my name's Noah. I'm a teenage conservative from the great state of Georgia. I've been a conservative for my whole life, and I'm really looking forward to this discussion.
My name is Malik. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I just turned 23. I was always economical, even when I was very little. Now I'm a medical student in the state of Georgia.
Hi, my name is Amy. When it comes to social issues and everything, I could be considered a little bit more liberal, but I do support our president 100%. 4 more years was good. So, yeah.
Hi, my name's Alicia. I'm 20 years old. My mom immigrated to America from Nicaragua as a political refugee, and then my father's side of the family immigrated from Mexico. And I am also 8 months pregnant, and I'm super excited to be a first-time mom.
Trump's behavior can be offensive. Rachel.
Somewhat disagree.
Casey.
Agree.
Noah.
Agree.
Ami.
Agree.
Alicia.
Strongly agree.
Malik.
Agree.
I think that Trump gets a lot of flack more than other presidents for offending people because he is not politically correct. The politically correct culture has been shoved down our throats. And the reason why people like his rhetoric is because he doesn't put up with that toxic culture.
The reason I said agree is because while he hasn't directly offended me, I do think some of his rhetoric can be offensive. I mean, I'm sure Stormy Daniels was pretty offended to be called horseface, even though it was epic. When it comes to a lot of his policies, I tend to agree with him. What he's done with the taxes, I think we can all agree on. If we could just take his Twitter account away sometimes and just limit what he says or get a good writer in there for his tweets, I think we'd be in a way better place in the country.
I actually enjoy President Trump's tweets. I have notifications set up.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, and I don't even factor in the rhetoric when it comes to President Trump anymore because of all the results that he's gotten. And if that's how he has to behave in order to achieve the results, I'm totally fine for it. I see a fighter, and that's what I like about him.
The one time he offended me, I quickly found out that it was from fake news. So that was in the beginning of the election when he was running in 2016. It was the disabled thing, like that little thing. That offended me, but that quickly dissipated when I found out that's what he does. Everything else that I have heard him say from this point, I haven't felt personally offended, but when I hear him say certain things, I'm like, I could hear the screeching. I could hear, you could just hear like the freaking people freaking out.
Yeah, and one thing that I say kind of offended me that I kind of didn't like was when the Hollywood Access tape grabbed him by the, I didn't really like that. But then as I thought about it more, I thought he wasn't running for president. He was a Democrat at the time. And this has nothing to do with who he is today.
He was talking about groupies.
Yeah, and to me, like when I actually looked at the context and everything, like, yeah, no, I know who he's talking about. He's not talking about, oh, Ami, I could just grab. No, you can't do that to Ami. Like, I'd be able to do that.
I'm gonna hit you with a backhand over there.
Exactly. Like he's talking about the women that are like not just any woman. He was talking about particular women.
And think of when he said that stuff too on Access Hollywood. By that time, Donald Trump was being talked about in rap videos. He was on Comedy Central doing those roasts. He was in Hollywood. We know who he was talking about. So when all these people, especially in the Black community, would you dare use the grab him by the...
If he had been black and said it in a rap song...
Yeah,
sing that song. Oh, wait, he's a Republican? Oh, no. We disagree.
Yeah.
I was only ever offended by Trump once, and this was whenever he said something about like Mexicans being like animals or like something like that. And so I was like, oh my gosh, it's so offensive. Like, why would he say that? And then my stepdad was like, did you read like everything that he said? So I went back and he was talking about like the MS-13 gangs that were in Mexico and stuff. So I like kind of learned a lot about fake news and how a lot of people are like sensitive to his like rhetoric and what he says.
What do you think? I feel like society today, especially millennials, we're addicted to feeling sensitive and offended. Like literally people's nipples get hard when they're freaking offended by something.
I think I know why that is. It's because if I'm offended, if I'm a victim, I get more attention. It's like there's a hierarchy of victimhood. Well, I'm Black, but you're Black, and a woman. So that means you get more power. It's like in the left, it's like the more victimized you are, the more you should be heard, the more power you should be given. And to me, I think that's pretty sad.
Systemic racism is a problem in America. Rachel.
Strongly disagree.
Casey.
Somewhat disagree.
Noah.
I said somewhat agree.
Amy.
Somewhat agree.
Alicia.
I said strongly disagree.
Malik.
Somewhat agree.
Systemic implies that it's built into the DNA of a country, and I just don't think that that was why this country was founded. It wasn't founded to be a racist country.
Systemic is really that there's laws in place that prevent people of color from excelling. And while in the past, there definitely have been laws that were systemically racist, there aren't any anymore.
There's so many examples, people of color that excel in America. For example, like Barack Obama, he's like a Black president. You also have like AOC, who was a bartender. She's a person of color, and she literally just like came up and became like, you know, a House of Representative.
Can I ask everybody this real quick? Joe Biden's 94 crime bill that specifically targeted people of color, you wouldn't consider that to be systematic, something that was put into place that is going to target the breakdown of the Black family. Sorry to be like military, but there's some skid marks. America has some like total skid marks.
Yeah, there has been like, cause like I'm studying history and I'm taking Old South class. So we're just talking about slavery. Like, so I'm not denying that there hasn't been systemic slavery before, but in 2020 today, like there's not systemic racism.
But just in the 90s, 94, that was the year I was born. Not too long ago. And the residue, the effects that it had within 2 generations is, you know, it looks pretty structured to me. You know what I mean?
I really like what you had to say with the 1994 crime bill, because that's exactly where I was going with it. That's why I somewhat agree. And the other policy that I think is also really important would be school choice. In the schools where I was growing up, the way they teach history and the way they teach the spirit, you know, that they were teaching.
Spirit. Bro, I felt like in the classroom.
You are determined that you will fail. You cannot succeed. You will never make it. And to me personally, whenever somebody told me I can't do something, I said, okay, watch. And then I went to medical school. But for a lot of other people, they don't have what I have, you know? So I think it is systematic because it's mostly Black people in these areas being taught these things that keep them from even thinking that it's possible for them to achieve. So that's why I say systematic racism is a problem, and it comes from the Democratic side.
I have to disagree. There's no law saying that you have to teach Black children that they can't make it in the world. The issue is really funding, and I think people get distracted and tend to blame it on systemic racism when it's not. It's really a poverty issue.
You don't think that's systematic?
White kids are in poor districts as well, and there are tons of districts around the nation that are a majority white and they're poor.
But Black people are typically, if we look at statistics, Black people are in that lower income, people of color are in that lower income bubble right there. I feel like that's systematic, you know what I mean? It's targeting a specific group.
But there are tons of white kids in that bubble too.
I didn't disagree on that part. I definitely gave a shout out to, you know, there are white kids in the trailer park.
I think a lot of it has to do with like the culture or the way that the Black, like normal, typical Black families set up. The statistics say that Black people don't have like 2 family households.
Yeah,
and that 75%. Has a lot to do. Yeah, that has like a lot to do with like, the poverty rates, they're like where they end up in school, they go to jail more often. So I don't think it's systemic racism. and like more as that it's a fact of having to like educate.
We've done a lot to deal with race in this country. A lot of my friends on the left, they literally just see that it is a racist country. We're never not going to be, and we need like insane change to just blow up the system. I think that would be the most foolish thing. When you look at who's helping the Black community, I think that President Trump has done a ton for the Black community, more than under Barack Obama, that's for sure.
I believe COVID-19 is a serious and real disease. Rachel.
Disagree.
Casey.
I strongly agree.
Noah.
I somewhat agree.
Amy.
Agree.
Alicia.
I said somewhat agree.
Malik.
Somewhat agree.
Anything that can cause the death of somebody is serious. I can strongly agree with that statement, while at the same time being against a lot of the measures that have been taking place, especially over an extended period of time. It's affected my mental health. And I have a lot of people who are scared to kind of speak out. But of course, the disease itself, yes, it's real. Yes, it's serious.
It's very serious. I've known people who have family members who have passed away. But if I don't believe it's to the degree that the media made it out to be. I mean, they said really early on 2 million people will die, and we're at 200,000. Overall, it's most likely been inflated a lot.
And this is a really interesting question for me because I'm in medical school. I have access to information that like the general public doesn't. So the thing I would say is context is not being given to the general public. I noticed one week there was like, oh my God, there's been a surge in this state. Well, I know a drive-through just opened. Was there really a surge in cases, or was there a surge in testing?
I think that we are being distracted by the real problem in America. And the real problem in America is that we're not healthy overall. We're one of the sickest countries who's a first world country. So I think the media has really blown it out of proportion. I don't think it's as serious as it's made out to be. It's being politicized to scare people.
And I don't know if you guys remember in the very beginning when they talked about this COVID, they said that the African-American community was actually, more prone to getting COVID, or the Chinese virus. Gotta say it, guys, gotta say it, Chinese virus. And it makes sense. If we want to look at the Black community specifically, when it comes to high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, we got to take that in consideration. And unfortunately, we can't really compare ourselves to Sweden. We can't really compare ourselves to these other countries that, one, have a much smaller population and also live healthier lifestyles than we do as Americans.
I am open to liberal ideas. Rachel?
Agree.
And you, Casey?
Agree.
Noah?
I strongly agree.
Ami?
Strongly agree.
Alicia?
I said agree.
And Malik?
Agree.
So I said agree, but like right now, they're just like portraying so many radical views that it's like shutting me down from like listening to them all entirely. Like socialism, that's like the number one for me, because I know that socialism leads to communism and people cannot tell me otherwise. And like my family actually like left Nicaragua because of like the socialist like stuff and the communism that was happening. So, and I know a lot of Hispanic people, like that's probably why Joe Biden isn't getting like that much support. He is getting support, but not that much support.
I am super conservative, but I'm also an urbanist, and I don't mind. I live in a city. I'm totally open to it and even apply some. I mean, I'm almost vegan, so I had to say that because I'm almost vegan. But, you know, it's okay for conservatives to care about the environment and things like that. It's something that you would consider liberal. I especially liked listening to Andrew Yang. It's hard to hate that guy. You just can't. But nothing about Joe Biden interests me. My biggest voting issue of all is China, and I think that it is the Chinese Communist Party is the biggest threat to the global order, but especially the American way. And Joe Biden has made it very clear that he's really not going to do too much to handle them, and in the past has actually enabled them.
I'm very, very open to having discussions with literally everybody. I'm in Blexit, and down here in our Tennessee chapter, when we come across Black Lives Matter, we cross over the street and we talk to them. Friendly, peacefully, great conversation. We find a ton of middle ground. We add each other on freaking Facebook. But I feel like leftists today should just be open and honest and just call themselves Marxists, because there's literally pretty much no difference now these days when you look at Bernie Sanders, when you look at Black Lives Matter, and then let's add in a bunch of like illegal immigrants when we can't even take care of our own people. There's no logic. There's no logic to it. I'm open to talking and adopting things like who you decide to marry and all that kind of stuff. I'm open to that. Give people equal opportunity to succeed. But if you want to look at the LGBTQ stuff, I'm for you as an adult talking to another adult and consenting to do whatever you do. But I'm not for is shoving it down children's throats. I'm a mom of 3. I don't play that. No. What do you need to talk about to my kids about your dingling stuff and what you decide to identify? We don't care. If they want to play with their toys.
Yeah, I actually, I work for the gay Republican group. So I am their political director in Pennsylvania and Ohio. And as far as gay issues go, I think that people looking to pass gay marriage or like repeal gay marriage, I think that's big government. I think the government shouldn't decide what is defined as marriage at all. Donald Trump has stood for the gays and gay marriage for a lot longer than Joe Biden has. Joe Biden entered the 2012 presidential campaign still opposing gay marriage. And so if we're going to talk about that issue, then I feel like public opinion has come around on that.
I said I strongly agree because the high school I graduated from, I was able to graduate with a kid who I believe he worked on Bernie Sanders' campaign at some point, and I've been able to talk to them frequently since we've graduated. We've had a lot of discussions. We have to understand there's not liberal problems and conservative problems. There's American problems that we all have. We just have we all have the same end goal. We just have 2 different ways to get there. We all want America to be better. At least I hope we do. I try to say, what if I'm wrong and what if they're right? So I can truly see what they think.
America is better now than it was 4 years ago. Rachel?
Strongly agree.
Casey?
I strongly agree.
Noah?
I strongly agree.
Ami?
Somewhat agree.
Alicia?
I said strongly agree.
Malik?
Strongly agree.
Yeah, so I somewhat agree, and that kind of actually sucks to say because I wish it was strongly agree. But when in terms of race relations, I feel like we've taken so many steps backwards. I never thought that as a millennial and somebody in 2020 that I would go outside my door and there would be like tension, friends disowning each other, family disowning each other. I know I've experienced that. I think we have come a long way, but when it comes to racial matters and stuff, unfortunately, I think we've taken some steps back.
I believe all problems are downstream of economics. And I think when Trump says we're going to do opportunity zones, we're going to invest billions and billions of dollars into low income areas. Like in Detroit, the gentrification that happened, which I'm a big supporter of, it gave specific family members in my family jobs that paid like 4 times what they were making before. And that's because a billionaire now owns like 1/3 of downtown Detroit. Like people complain about it, but before, I bet 1/3 of these buildings were abandoned. That's done more for the Black community than any president I've known in my lifetime.
I feel the tension that Ami feels, but I do feel like President Trump's the leader to lead us out of that because I see the Democrat Party, they see the pain, they use it, people who are hurting, make them hurt a little bit more, and become victims to whatever hurt they have, whether it's racial or otherwise. And I don't appreciate that, and I don't think that that's the answer. I think President Trump's optimism is the answer to healing that. I really do.
I do think that the economy is the biggest thing and probably the only thing that President Trump can do for us when it comes to race relations. I don't personally think that Trump is the answer to race relations because it's a bigger discussion. It's beyond Trump. The best thing that President Trump can do for Black America and people of color is to just give them the opportunity to thrive. And I think he's done that, a great job at that, especially, before the China virus took place and everything. But when it comes to race relations, the media has such a massive part to play. And I think a first step that we could do as society is hold our mainstream media accountable. If we didn't have to dig to see that Trump has denounced white supremacy multiple times and the mainstream was doing their jobs and not adding fuel to the fire, I think maybe as a society we could all come together and hold the media accountable for the attention that they have caused when it comes to race relations. I don't think it has anything to do with Trump.
America's always had, political polarization. We've always had racial issues, but at least we have these problems and we have a robust economy. you know, in January and February and March, once Donald Trump gives his second inaugural address, we'll see the economy bounce right back.
He's not the president in order to gain power. When COVID happened, he did not use the opportunity to usurp more power than he already had. It really concerns me when politicians like Joe Biden say he's going to make the entire country follow a mandatory mask mandate. That's completely unacceptable. It's an overreach of power.
I think a lot of why America is so strong is because we have such a strong leader like President Trump, and he cares. He genuinely cares about America. He loves America so much, and he also loves the American people. So I think it's like super nice to just see that a president who is enthusiastic to work for this beautiful country that I love and the American people, which is like you and me. So
on that note, you guys, that is a wrap.
Hey, great job, everyone.
All right, bye-bye. See you.